plans require a public hearing. However, no action will be taken by the Planning Commission members. Plats, rezoning, revised master plans, and street names require public hearing. And once the public hearing is completed, Planning Commission members will deliberate and render their decision. Planning Commission members with a personal or financial interest in the petitioner's request are required to recuse themselves. The members of the Planning Commission are Kippy Tate, Patrick Moss, Clay McInnes, Cruz Reed, Jerome Moore, Frank Cook, Ann Clements, James Reed, and I'm Buddy Hardwick. Members and petitioners are requested to speak directly in the microphone. For the minutes are recorded for legal purposes, and this is the only way to accurately pick up the audio. Tonight we have 7 members of the commission, and it takes 5 votes to pass a motion. Because of the number of members present, if you would like to delay your request, please let us know when your request is announced. We're going to have one agenda item that we're going to move. We're going to move item number 1 on the agenda to as a last item on the agenda, which would be item 16 rather than item 1. So we're going to move it down, and we'll start with, when we start, we'll start with item number 2. Okay. We had an opportunity to review and look at the minutes, read the minutes. Is there any recommendations or changes, deletions? If not, a motion's in order.
So moved to approve.
All right, Mr. Moore.
Second.
Second. All right, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, Helen, you want to?
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 2 is presented by Bill.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
He just turned it on. He just turned it on. Try now.
Can you hear me?
If not,
Yeah, go ahead.
Can y'all hear me?
yeah,
Yes.
we can't.
Okay.
You want to read?
Sure. Request final approval of East Chase Plat number 18A located on the north side of East Chase Parkway, approximately 500 feet of east of Berry Hill Road in a PUD district.
Okay.
You gotta turn yours on.
We can't hear this one either.
Sorry.
There you go.
There you go.
That better?
There you go, Pete.
I'm Pep Pilgreen with Pilgreen Engineering. This is a replat of 2 lots. Texas Roadhouse is adding to their parking lot. They need a little more parking, so we're getting some land from next door. Just adding a little strip on the east side.
Okay. Any questions from the Planning Commission? Any comments? Anyone wish to speak for or against this? If not, a motion's in order.
Move to approve.
Mr. Cook?
Second.
Second. Mr. Cruz? All those in favor?
Item number 3, Pilgreen Engineering representing Z-Tech, a public hearing for a development plan for a new building to be located on a triangular piece of land in the middle of the intersection of McMore Drive and Wares Ferry Road in a B3 district.
Pep Pilgreen again. This is a development of a convenience store at the intersection of Wares Ferry and McLemore Drive. Kind of an odd shaped piece of property, and we've got entrances coming off of Wares Ferry, entrances off McLemore, with turn lanes being built. Nothing real spectacular about it.
How big is that? What is that acreage on that thing? Pep, you know?
I don't know. If you look at the plat, it'll tell you. I don't
It's
remember. off the
one,
top of my-
okay, 1.3?
1.3?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments from the Planning Commission? Anyone wish to speak for or against it? Richard?
Thank you. I just spoke with Pep. I'm coming as a city councilman with this in my district right there. And I had a few concerns, just some safety concerns out there. This has gotten to be a heavily trafficked area right now. So I talked to Pep about maybe looking at extending on Macklemore Drive that decel lane just a little bit more. The speed limit's 40 miles an hour, and believe me, I wish they would only go that fast. We have a lot of entrance and exits. We got 2 full service. We've got a left in off of just kind of a 11-foot wide road coming off of Macklemore. And they travel that pretty fast. What I'd like to see maybe is the last one, which is really not needed, that left out, maybe be removed. And then there's some small things, and I know he'll police that up on the development plan, like screening, dumpsters and things like that around these convenience stores. But just to quick pass this out, I just wanted this for the record, and he's agreed to work with the people on that, but I'm going to pass this out.
Oh, it's the same thing, okay.
And all that is, it's just a picture of a wreck yesterday afternoon, 3:45, which is not even our heavy traffic time, shows the congestion and what it does right there with a little small area. And that just kind of highlights my concerns. But, Mr. Chairman, I am for this development. Thank you.
Okay. Any, you got
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to point out that we will take any comments in consideration. I understand this is a public hearing.
Right.
And traffic engineering has looked at that, so just to let the public know, we're going to take it into consideration.
Okay, very good. And Pep, y'all have already had conversation, is that correct?
Yes, I went to traffic engineering when we first started talking about this, and I can get back with traffic and talk about what his concerns are and see if we can come up with something that'd be good for everybody.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else wish to speak for or against this? Okay, if not, this was strictly for a public hearing purpose. And the public hearing has been held. So we will go on to item number 4, which is the plat item.
Yeah, presented by Pilgrim Engineering, representing A.J. Macklemore Development Properties, requesting final approval of Z-Tech Macklemore Drive Plat 1 on the triangular piece of land in the middle of the intersection of Macklemore Drive and Wears Ferry Road in a B3 district.
All right, this is just the plat for the 1.3 acres of that parcel of land.
Okay, even though we did have in the public comment, is there any questions in reference to the comments that were made during the public hearing? Did someone wish to ask a question?
The approval of that is with the consideration of the councilman, correct?
Yes.
And that might be that's an excellent point, and that might be a way to, as we present it, if a motion is done, maybe we do that. Okay. Right. Yeah. Kitty?
Well, I don't know if that's the same thing I heard from Helen. I don't know if that's the same thing we heard from Helen in terms of what the city was going to do with the information versus what the councilman and Pep had agreed to.
Can you hear me now?
On the development plan?
Yes, the question was asked on what conditions were the development plan approved. Those two guys came up with a solution that was agreeable to them, but I think you said it all had to go back to traffic engineering.
Traffic engineering does need to take it into consideration, and if they work them, if traffic says, and the petitioner says, okay, we'll delete one, but traffic says it's okay, then they have the right to have the cut. But I just wanted to make the statement that we're going to take all that into consideration. Does that answer your question?
It's more for James than me, but I was just...
So our approval will take into consideration what traffic
Okay, the
says,
planning commission is
correct?
not approving the development plan, they're just holding a public hearing.
No, yeah,
No,
but we're
And that's
past
why we
that.
take recommendations back to the staff to take these into consideration.
But we're on the plat now.
We're on the plat.
You're on the
Yeah,
plat.
we're-
The plat has nothing to do with the driveways.
But that's the reason for the discussion before it, because we happen to have that information. He certainly has the right, if he made the motion, to have the motion and include the fact that it would be a conversation that between the councilman and the petitioner and the engineering. That's all he asked.
We could reject the approval of the plat without,
Not unless you've got a really good reason, or you will end up in court, because if the plat meets all the guidelines of the district, that is not a good enough reason to deny.
Well, we haven't done anything yet,
Right.
so let's
none of us want to end up in court, but if there's a safety issue that Mr. Bollinger thinks is real, then we want to at least address it if we should, or if you think we should just
If
ignore
you
it.
feel that's
not-
a good enough reason?
Yeah. I mean, we can just not do anything, but.
Well, is anybody from traffic here?
No.
Well, that might help.
and point out that that's where they started was PEP. PEP said he had gone to traffic to begin
Yeah, I went
with.
to traffic initially, and we went out there and looked and came up with a scheme, and what Mr. Bollinger is talking about is mostly, I don't know what, changing the details, maybe a little bit longer taper, a little bit longer stacking lane, changing the angles of entrance and exits to make the movements a little better, making sure we don't have something in the way if we stop on Wares Ferry looking left or right. And those are reasonable requests that we can get with traffic and Mr. Bollinger and get
Okay.
that worked out.
Fair enough. Okay. Any other comments? Any other questions, Skippy?
Do we have a safety issue out there? Is there a safety issue out there?
I'm not aware of one.
Well, Mr. Bollinger just showed us an accident that he's concerned about. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, if there's a safety issue out there, we definitely want to eliminate that concern. If there's not one, then let's move on. But I think Mr. Bollinger had mentioned that there was some concern safety-wise, and he wanted to modify the site design to eliminate that. And so we're just trying to figure out, as Mr. Bollinger pointed out, if there's a safety issue, period.
It can be addressed at the next round, correct, when we approve the, this is for the plat. We've seen the
Yes.
development plan.
Right.
And then, but when we see the actual, when it comes back before us again, we can qualify to not have as many entrances or not. That's a question that I'm asking. I don't know the answer to.
I don't think we get to see it again.
Well, one, you won't get to see it again, and two,
Okay.
you can't, it's not up to you, I don't think, to decide. Typically, that's decided by the engineering departments.
Well, now, that's not good. Because if the engineering department is going to decide that, then they need to be here to answer the question.
Yeah. Just to explain again my position, with the plat, all these properties like this need to be platted, and I don't think that has anything to do with any of the safety concerns. My emphasis today was to come down to go from y'all back to the traffic department to work with the engineer, since I hadn't sat down with him before on the development plan. And I believe that with he and I speaking already, that's going to be worked out. But for the plat, I think it's good like it is. It doesn't hurt safety one way or the other to plat the property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you know, Councilman, I'm just thoroughly confused. You showed me a picture with a wreck and says that it ain't a safety issue.
I did, and that happened yesterday. And what I was saying, I want to make sure that our stacking and decel lanes are long enough so that the cars have an opportunity to get off the road, out of the line of sight, so that we won't have as many problems like that caused by development here, which I think that the engineer can address pretty easily.
So you don't have any concern of them not doing that where you would want us to delay this plat, correct?
No, I don't think it should be delayed at all.
Okay.
I think this can be worked out with traffic.
It's your concern, so that's, That's what we need to know.
So let's go back a second, though. Nobody from traffic is here, so we got to take your word that traffic's going to agree to what they say? Is that what we're saying?
Well, it's my understanding from what Mr. Bollinger said that PEP and they're going to be talking to traffic, and PEP needs to lengthen maybe the decel lane
Okay.
or whichever one, and they're going to work it out and get what he thinks is necessary. Was that understood correctly? So yes, you can take into consideration, our staff is going to take that into consideration and see that he does that because he has agreed to do that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's fine. I'm just wanting to know about the safety piece. And if that's going to resolve the safety issue, and you got 2 engineers and people who do this stuff all the time, so I'll take your word for it.
Okay. Any other comments?
Well, I'll just make the comment, and if it ends up in court, so be it. But this is, I've been driving this road for 25, 30 years. I've got 3 houses on Wares Ferry Road, and I do think this is a safety issue right here. And why somebody would want to build on this spot, we've already got a problem there. People drive down both McLemore and Wares Ferry Road faster than they should, and you're going to have a problem there. I don't care what lanes you put in there, and so I'm going to vote against it. Now, if it ends up in court, that's just my opinion, but I know what's probably going to happen. It passes automatically, but I do think there's a problem there, and why somebody wanted to build on this spot, that's their problem. They have the right to do that. I never thought somebody would build there, but somebody's decided to do that. So I've said my piece on that.
Okay.
So I guess the question goes back, what kind of research has been done? I know, Richard, you said that there were a lot of cars and speeding and so forth that takes place along that road out there. Have we done a traffic study or anything to kind of give us some data that would give us an idea of the volume of traffic and some kind of third-party assessment of the traffic along those routes? Since safety came up.
We've done no traffic study, no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other comment? Anyone wish to speak for or against it? If not, motion's in order. Is there a motion? There being no motion, what do we do, Haley?
No action's taken.
Action fails and the plat can be recorded in 30 days.
Okay, action fails and the plat can be recorded in 30 days. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Item number 5,
Presented by Flowers and White Engineering, representing Hampstead. Request final approval of Hampstead Plat Number 25B, located along the east side of Upper James Street, approximately 150 feet north of Portman Street in a T40 district.
Good evening, I'm Kenneth White with Flowers and White, representing Hempstead LLC. Excuse me. There's currently 6 platted lots in the area you show here, and we are requesting to replat those 6 lots into 9 lots with a pedestrian parcel in between. You can entertain any questions should you have any.
okay. Any comments, any questions? So we're going from 6 to 9.
6 to 9, that's correct. Making a little more dense product there.
Okay. Any comments, any questions?
Has there been any opposition from the other neighbors?
No. No. Actually, it's the T40, I believe that's what you said, Michelle? Yeah, that this width's allowable in that zoning. So it's,
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Anyone from the audience wish to speak for or against it? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
thank you.
All right,
Item
Ken.
number 6, presented by Mino Jang, representing Hyundai Power Transformer USA. Public hearing for development plan for additions to existing buildings and a new building to be located at 201 Farmer Parkway in the M1 district.
Good evening. My name is Tony Kim. I'm representing Hyundai Power Transformers USA. we propose to construct 100,000 square feet building additions to the existing building and another approximately 40,000 square feet storage building to accommodate more production lines.
Good news.
That's good.
Y'all, I am going to recuse myself because next Thursday they're going to be coming before another board. And so I'm going to recuse. Now that gives you 6 votes and you have a right to, if you.
You don't vote on this.
Oh, it's a public, I'm sorry, it's public hearing. I'm sorry. Okay, it is.
So you don't have to recuse yourself.
I
brother.
can just talk. I know what we're going to do next week, so.
Yeah.
But this is great news.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other,
Opposition?
any comments? Anyone wish to speak for or against it? All right, sir. This was, Tony, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And we will, a public hearing has been held. Thank you, sir.
Item number 7, presented by RTM Alabama, representing Arby's, public hearing for development plan for a new building to be located at 3853 Atlanta Highway in a B3 district.
Good evening. My name is Jordan Fleischman. I'm with CESO Engineering. I'm here representing Arby's and their tenant, RTM Alabama. What's going on here is this is an existing Arby's fast food restaurant, and part of Arby's national program is they're rolling out new prototypes, new stores, and this site was selected to be demolished and build up a new Arby's store here.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
I just have a question. I'm just curious as to, a lot of fast food places are doing that. Why do they do that?
Just to stay
Keep
relevant.
it up with the times, or?
Keeping up with the times, yeah. If they feel that there's an issue, I know that there's been some traffic circulation issues at this particular Arby's, so the site plan that we've got out there right now is working to fix that, as well as updating just the store look and, like you said, keep up with the times.
I appreciate fixing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other comments? Anyone wish to speak for or against it? If not, this was a public hearing, and the public hearing has been held. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you.
Item number 8, presented by J.M. Garrett and Son, representing AA Auto LLC, public hearing for development plan for a new building to be located at 3307 Mobile Highway in an M1 district.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and panel. My name is Richard Bollinger with J.M. Garrett and Son, representing AA Auto LLC. What they're like to do is out on that piece of property is just build one small 30 by 40 storage building.
Okay. Any comments, questions? Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against it? If not, this was a public hearing. A public hearing has been held.
Item number 9,
Plat.
J.M. Garrett and Son, representing Ahmed Oshaka, requests final approval of AA Auto Plat Number 1 located on the east side of Mobile Highway, approximately 150 feet south of Westgate Street in an M1 district.
Again, Mr. Chairman, my name is Richard Bollinger with J.M. Garrett and Son, representing these AA Auto out there. To actually be able to build that building, that property had never been platted, so this is an opportunity for the city to get that piece of property platted now.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Anyone wish to speak for or against? If not, the motion is in order.
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Item
All right.
number 10, presented by Matt Dury, representing Recon Builders, requests to rezone one parcel of land located on the east side of Troy Highway, approximately 400 feet north of Jenkins Lane, from an Ag 1 district to a B3 district.
I'm Matt Dury, and I'm representing Recon Builders. This parcel of property that we bought has been empty for 5 or 6 years. Used to be as a group home, and we finally bought it out, and we would like to turn it into an office since it's already been set up to state standards with sprinkler systems and such, and offices are currently in it.
Okay, any questions from the commission? Any comments? Okay, anyone wish to speak for or against it? Not, motion's in order.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cook, is that you?
Yes.
All right. All those in favor? Thank you, Matt.
Mr. Tate?
I oppose.
Got one opposed, okay.
Item number 11, presented by Geis Slauson, requesting to rezone property located at 3077 Carter Hill Road from an O1 district to a B3Q district.
Good evening. I'm Guy Slauson with Southeast Wood. Our corporate offices are at 3077 Carter Hill Road, and we are requesting that we be rezoned to allow us to continue to sell belled pine straw from that same location.
Okay. Any questions, any comments?
This is just a change so you can be legal, because you've been selling it for a long time.
Yes, that's what we've found out. Yes, sir.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, anyone wish to speak for or against?
Hello, my name is Tim Kello. I'm with the Tuckabatchee Area Council of Boy Scouts of America. We're located right next door to their property, and I'm not here to say we're opposing it. We were just going to see if we could make a stipulation that they've been using some barricades to keep their customers on their side, to keep from blocking our customers and our access to our rear parking lot. So if we can just have an agreement that they keep using the barricades, then we're good with it. We're not here to oppose it.
All right, sir. Okay. Any comments? Ms. Guys, you want to explain this to us a little better on what his...
Yes, sir. We have I won't say a shared, our parking lots butt up to each other, and there are no barriers, and some of the customers we had with the pine straw have been using the entrance from the Boy Scouts, and legitimately, he had legitimate concerns about that. They were causing some traffic problems on their side. Since we were made aware of that, we've put up some barriers to cut off that traffic, so that all the traffic is now contained on our property.
Okay. And it's working?
Yeah, and we'll continue with that.
All right, sir. So...
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I would
sir.
like to look at the staff comments and have someone elaborate on the staff comments, please.
Did you have a question?
Yes, he wants to know, I want you to elaborate on that.
I mean, the staff says this is spot zoning.
It is.
So I'd like to know a little bit about how they generated that particular conclusion.
It was generated because they're asking for commercial in the middle of O1. So it appears, based on the definition, that it's spot zoning. It does not comply with the existing land use plan.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I'd like to qualify this that it only be allowed to do the pine straw sales there.
So you're...
I'm in favor of it. They've been doing it for years there,
yeah.
but I just want to qualify it that it's only going to be for...
Yes, ma'am.
For pine straw sales.
When he qualifies it, he needs to qualify it to office and pine straw.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Mr. Geis, do you understand what we're...
That the rezoning would be restricted to
Yes,
just
sir,
pine
to
straw?
one,
Yes, sir.
trying to narrow it down
Right.
so
Yes, sir,
that
that's
there's,
fine.
just to make sure that we're doing the use and not some other use.
Right, yeah, that's...
Now, would you consider that spot zoning with that Q on it, where it's office and the pine straw only.
Spot zoning.
I mean, that's what's,
If you're asking for my opinion,
Yes.
it's still commercial zoning in the middle of office. However, it is restricted to one commercial use. Does that
okay.
answer your question?
Well, there is not a yes or no, but I appreciate your answer. I think we're going to be I think we're about as close as you can get to working it for everybody, and also getting it to that point where it's utilized exactly the way he's using it anyway.
Mr. Slauson, I have a question. How do y'all get the trailer in there?
How do the trailers come in?
Yeah.
With a tractor trailer, we bring them in at night usually.
I mean, do they circle your building, or do they have
Yes.
to back off of Carter Hill Road?
No, they pull in straight into the parking lot, and that's what we do it in the evening when the cars are all gone, so they have enough room to stay on our site to do it.
And then they circle to get out, or they back out later?
I think they back the trailers in so they actually face Carter Hill Road, but they pull in the deep corner in the back, the best way to say it, I guess, and back the trailers into the final position there.
Okay. So
But
they're not,
they do not back out into Carter Hill Road.
they're not maneuvering in the road?
No.
And if you guys make a permanent pine straw sales location out of this, and there is, there's businesses up and down here, different, B3 zoning, B4 zoning. Is there anything you guys have looked at to, since it would be permanent, to kind of make it a little bit different than just a trailer with a back, like some sort of a facade or something that could match up to your trailer?
Yeah.
that would
I hadn't really thought about it, to be honest. I guess our thinking was maybe with it all not having any permanent structures rather than the trailers might be, I don't know, might be better, but we can certainly look at doing something differently if that's what we need to do.
Just a question, you got a couple of trailers out there, and whatever the trailer looks like is what your business looks like for your pine straw, and you have a very beautiful building next to it.
Yeah, thanks.
So do customers come to you for pine straw, or do you deliver it to the customers?
About 95% of it, they come to us. We occasionally deliver a pickup truckload or something in the neighborhood.
Has that method of operation caused any traffic issues?
Sir?
Has that method of operation caused any traffic issues, people coming to you for straw?
You mean it's like backing out on the Carter Hill Road or anything like that, or? I mean,
Carter Hill Road, or getting in and out of your site, or?
No, I mean, you might have 2 or 3 pickup trucks there at a time, but that'd be about the most of the time there's nobody out there.
Is this pretty seasonal, or is this year-round?
It's year-round, but it's more seasonal. It's more traffic, in springtime and early fall.
So is it seasonal or year-round?
The trailers are there year-round.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yes, sir.
But you don't need pine straw year round, is what you're saying.
I got it. So it's the trailers there if the trailer's there year-round, does it have pine straw in it year-round?
Yeah, yes, sir, they do. The same trailer may stay there longer before it has to be swapped
So what does
out.
that look like? Paint a picture for me. What does that look like aesthetically?
It's a 53-foot drive-in trailer that's backed from Carter Hill Road. You see the end of the trailer where the doors are.
You've got 2, right?
Yes, sir. One you can see from Carter Hill Road. The other one's back behind the office along the old railroad right-of-way.
And the business that's to the south of you, what is that business? Is that the Boy Scouts, or are they to the north of you?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Where's the Boy Scouts? Are they to the north of your side?
They're north of us, yes, sir.
So who's to the south of you?
An insurance agency. I can't remember the name, to be honest with you.
And then I see some sort of single-family residence maybe at the end of Walton Drive, at the end of that cul-de-sac, a little piece of their property clips yours, right?
Ye- I think so, yes.
So what does it look like from their yard to your trucks and trailers and that sort of thing?
There's a privacy fence on the back of their yard.
How tall is it?
I would guess either 6 or 8 feet.
And so where's the truck in relationship to the fence?
The truck is oriented northwest to southeast along the old railroad right-of-way that they can see from the other trailers on the other side of our building from them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? If not, is there anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against it? I know we've already. Okay. A motion is in order.
I make a motion that we approve it with the understanding that that it will be B3Q with only pine straw sales allowed. Am I saying that correctly?
With an office.
And office.
With an office. With an office with a B3Q with only pine straw sales allowed. Anything else would have to come back before the council, before this commission. Did I say that correctly? All right.
Second.
All right. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay.
All right,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 12, presented by Wesley Nummy, requesting to rezone one parcel of land located on the north side of Williams Drive, approximately 100 feet west of Franson Road, from an R50 district to an R99S Q district.
Good afternoon. My name is Wesley Nummy. I'm here to request 27 acres to be rezoned.
What's your address?
I do not have one yet.
I'm sorry?
I do not have one yet.
You do not have one here in Montgomery? You do not have.
In Montgomery, yes, sir. 108 Natchez Drive.
Okay. Now, go ahead. I'm sorry. That's it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions, any comments?
That's a large area for one trailer, isn't it?
Yes, sir. I would talk to Helen about getting that done, and she said it would be quicker and easier to just have the whole area rezoned rather than having to have it just one particular spot to rezone. I'm just planning on living in it for about 3 or 4 years and then eventually building a house. But financially, I'm not ready to build a house right now. So I was just going to move into a single wide trailer or mobile home.
Have you got water and sewer there?
No, sir, not currently.
It's not to the facility at all. You're going to use, what are you going to use for water? And you're going to use a septic tank?
Yes, sir.
What about water?
I'll get it from the Montgomery, I guess, Montgomery.
But I mean, there's water, then there is water available to the property.
Yes, sir.
And how many mobile homes are right around this?
I know there's 3 across the road. The next door neighbor, I think, has 2.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to talk to the people in the area about your plans?
Yes, sir. I've talked to a few of my neighbors.
Okay.
And what comments did they have?
The neighbors that I have spoken to, I had no opposed.
I'm sorry?
I didn't know, I mean, they were fine with it.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay? Any other questions, comments? Any of those, anyone wish to speak for or against this? Yes, ma'am, come up and if you would, give your name and address, and then your comment, please, ma'am.
My name is Patricia Taylor, and
Pull that down to you, see. Thank
my
you.
name is Patricia Taylor, and I represent the Flatwoods Neighborhood Association, and we need clarification on this. He's saying 26 acres, but on the form, he's requesting only one parcel of land, and we need to clarify what is a parcel. Is that like 1 acre, or are you rezoning the whole 26 acres?
Mr. Chairman,
The request is to rezone the whole 26 acres.
No, sir, we are really in opposition of that. We're thinking it's only for 1 acre with 1 mobile home, not changing this whole area from a residential to a trailer park subdivision. There's no trailer park subdivision on that area. It's not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, okay. We will get him to answer that, but at the end, I think he's only thinking of 1, and we can handle that if that's what it is.
And then also, it's going to be a major, we have a major drainage issue
Yes, ma'am.
in that area.
Yes, ma'am.
And along with Commissioner Sankey and the County Engineering Department, they have found findings of how we're going to have to utilize that area to make the drainage system work. Once he builds this up even for 1 trailer, that water's just going to flow into the other areas of the community, and we're going to have major issues. So at our meeting on June 11th, that's when we're supposed to find out the findings for the County Engineering Department.
I'm sorry, say that into the mic again. I did not understand the last part of that.
Okay, I said that on our neighborhood monthly meeting, it's when we're supposed to find out the findings from the County Engineering Department about our drainage issue.
Oh, okay.
Okay, with Commissioner Sankey and along with Carpdeck.
So there's some engineers looking to see if the road that he uses to access his home and the building pad diverts the water in a way that might not be satisfactory for your neighborhood. Is that what they're trying to do?
No, what we're saying is the area is already, on the notes, it's showing that we're adjacent to the residential areas that he's talking about that's coming across from the place that he is. It's already in a flood zone. Once he builds this up for this trailer, being that you're going to put it on 1 acre, is that right?
Speaking to the mic, if you don't mind.
I just intend on building up where the trailer sits to be out of the flood zone, and I don't plan on building up.
How high do you have to build it up, Wesley?
They asked for 4 feet, the engineer that I talked to, and I'm going to go up 5 feet.
Okay.
Well, that's got to be above.
Okay.
So 10 is the requirement?
Ma'am,
10 feet is the requirement.
speaking to the mic and give your name and address also.
I
please.
am Melzetta Whitmore.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
live across from his property at 713 Williams Drive.
Yes, ma'am.
We talked earlier today, and I appreciate his wanting to come into the community and build a home. When he and I had our discussion, it was the conversion of 1 acre for 1 mobile home. According to this rezoning R99 QS, it speaks to a mobile home district subdivision. When I read the 64 pages in your zoning ordinance, it told me that this rezoning can speak to 6 mobile homes being located on that piece of property.
Well, there is a way we can handle that, if that be the issue.
That is the issue.
Okay, so
We do
you have no
not.
problem with 1, is that what you're saying?
It all depends on how high he has to raise the land. His land is level with my property, and my property at my house at the road has never flooded. The water has come into the yard but never into the house. If he raises the land any higher than that, it's not my house that's going to be affected, but the rest of the community will be affected because it slopes like this.
So it's got to be 10 feet.
And the water flows all through the neighborhood. That means it goes.
Stay in the mic. Stay in the mic.
I thought I could talk loud enough.
No, you don't.
It goes behind the cemetery and it goes on into the neighborhood. Our president has pictures where it has flooded the community center. The community center, which is used daily by our residents, seniors and young people and children. That's from rainwater. So if this property is raised at all, it's going to impact our environment.
Do you understand, that and I'll confirm this with him, do you understand he's not talking about raising all of the property, he's talking about raising the pad
I
for his...
drove on that
All right,
property
do you
today.
understand that it's not all of the property?
I understand what he wants to do, and I saw progress in his land use plan. But the concern is, even he recognizes that he could only use a portion of that land because of the water that sits on that land. Cypress trees, he says they soak up, it's like a wetland. It's like a swamp. But not the parcel that I thought this was related to. But if this zoning speaks to the whole 27 acres, no, no, no.
Okay, again, I'm gonna ask the same question. Do you have a problem if all he could put was one unit on that land?
If we can have the stipulation that the engineers will correct any drainage.
We can't do that, so, I mean, that's...
We need a
stipulation. We're not even in control of that.
Mr. Chairman, let me...
And the other question, I'm so sorry, please.
No,
The
go
other
right
question was, why this rezoning if he only want to put one trailer on one piece of land?
Again, we can control that. That's why I keep asking, is that the issue, one versus more than one? Because if it is, we can control the one where there can only be one.
Why don't you explain that to her so she understands?
Because,
Well, I see her point though. And her point is, if you've never been out to Flatwood, you just have to go out there and look around. The majority of the place is very, very low. Water does not drain in that area very well. I think that's why the county engineer may be involved to some extent. But I want to know, up to 20 some odd acres here, how much of it is actually buildable? Because, I'm sorry, go ahead.
About 3/4 back of the land, there's a creek, might you say, and the rest of it is dry. There's no water standing on it. So,
And while you're up there, is this an attempt to do a mobile home subdivision, or is this
no,
is
sir,
where?
I have no intentions of having a mobile.
So you would like to ultimately build a permanent structure?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the person who does your plans, are they performing a topo and where they can see where the water will be running once you build your road in and your home site? Are they doing any kind of topographic studies?
No, sir, I haven't even made it that far yet. I was just trying to get it approved to put the trailer or the mobile home back there. And then I was going to get there as soon as I got it rezoned.
A quick question for you. Were you able to talk to the folk here? Because quite a few of them came out. And you mentioned you've spoken to somebody. I'm not sure if you had a chance to speak to the people that are here that hadn't had a chance to speak yet. Have you had a chance to discuss this with them at all, or just with one
sir,
person?
I guess I have not spoke to the community. Yes, sir.
You may have a good idea, good approach. I just think the concern is because you have folks that are not clear about what your intentions are. It may be helpful if you had a chance to speak to the people around you in the community to give them some idea where you're headed, so that maybe it'll ease some of the fears about some of the water and the flow of water and the drainage out there, because I know exactly what they're concerned about. It's just that it may not be a problem, but it may be a problem, but somebody needs to explain it to them so that they understand just exactly what your intentions are.
Yes, sir.
And what we can do, ma'am, is when it changes from single family to mobile home, is we could qualify it to one mobile home. We could even qualify it to a location, if I'm not mistaken, on that lot for that mobile home. Is that correct? Helen?
Well, I'm not sure that we've ever stated exactly where on the property, but the gentleman has said he was going to put it possibly in the middle, way behind all the trees. You wouldn't even be able to see it from the road.
Yeah.
So if it's far enough back.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I don't know how many of you have been in that area. You really need to go see what the impact of something like this really could have.
The point I'm making is if it is engineered so that it doesn't cause any water runoff in a direction, might as well qualify it to that location so that it's already engineered and they don't ever have to worry about it again. And that could satisfy the question of whether they could put in more mobile homes, and secondly, if it was engineered properly where it wasn't going to affect your water. Those questions could be addressed after the engineering was done.
And he will have to work with the engineering department to make sure he meets the flood requirement, and as any other development, even though he's not developing, he's putting one home out there. Anybody else that develops cannot drain their water on anybody else.
That's right.
His one
Well,
area is
but
not
see,
gonna
I
clear
don't
full
necessarily think that in theory you're correct. You're not supposed to. But
Okay.
if you've been out there, you know that that's almost impossible because the whole area is in a floodplain. Not the whole area, but the majority of the area is in a floodplain.
As it is now.
As it is now. So any improvements that happen out there, I don't know, who is this engineer that's going to guarantee these folks that it's not going to cause a problem?
It's done all the time on shopping centers. You have a detention pond.
You can't put a detention pond in a flood area. It's already a pond. The whole area is a pond.
I'm not an engineer.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
We need somebody to give these folks some assurances that whatever he's trying to do is not going to cause drainage problems, and he can't explain it. And I'd like to know who's going to explain it or who's going to give them that assurance. Because a road has to be cut, a pad has to be built at a certain elevation, and right now you're asking us to look at this, rezoning it with all these questions, and the folks are here expressing a concern. I'm willing to listen to the folks for now, and maybe they can come back and after all this has been resolved with a plan. But right now, a lot of it's conceptual.
I think we ought to move to delay it until they come
Well,
up with...
that'd be his choice.
Okay.
That'd have to be his choice.
Okay.
And that's, you hear the concerns, and certainly they're not had a conversation with the I'm gonna call it the homeowners association, their neighbors out there. I would think it would be real wise for you to delay this 1 month and to spend some time having conversations and trying to cover some of these issues. And that'd be after the county engineer has their report in also. That would be a suggestion. You're the petitioner. You're the one that's paid the money to come and do it, and it's your call. If you can ask us to vote on it tonight, or you can say yes, I will spend that time, that extra month, and communicate with the neighbors and try to solve what problems they're bringing up. It's your call.
I'd like to go ahead and vote.
Okay. Now, do you mind saying that into the mic, please, sir, Wesley, because it's really important. You do not want to delay, is what you're saying. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You want it done tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak for or against this?
My name is Julia Davis. I live at 542 Williams Drive. I live right down from the property that he's talking about. And not only is our concern about water, our concern also is about what type of neighborhood will be, what type of people will be brought into the neighborhood. Can I read a letter that came from my household?
Yes, ma'am.
It is not that we object to a trailer being put on anyone's personal property. What we object to is the underhanded method by which people have been acquiring property in Flatwood. They treat our property as a business for them to do whatever they pleases. Certain people have been known to scoundrel for delinquent property taxes and end up owning the property, attempting to do whatever they want to make money without any regards to the people who live there and the families that have over 100 years of history in Flatwood. We are a close-knit community. Most of the residents are kin and have lived in Flatwood all of their lives, as did their ancestors who lived in Flatwood during and soon after slavery in Alabama ended. The oldest reliable headstone in our graveyard is dated 1856. Traditional, our children play together, parents work in the same business, attend the same church. The common good of all of our neighbors has been a priority in Flatwood. We look for each other and are still able to borrow a cup of sugar from each other. In recent years, property has been bought and sold. One white family moved in and posted their property, no trespassing. Signs saying that trespassers will be shot. We do not trust people who want to own property in Flatwood, and yes, we question their motives. The treasures we know Flatwood to be is now being discovered by outsiders, and naturally we are suspicious. The proposed trailer will be located on 26 acres of land. Only the driveway is unobstructed. No one can see what is being done on the property or is actually being built on the property. And yes, there is a no trespass sign up. It doesn't say we will be shot, but there is a no trespass sign on that particular property. So who is to say that only one mobile home will be put on the property? As stated earlier, we are not opposed to people legally doing what they want on their own property, but we are a community. We have a neighborhood association working to make improvements to Flatwood and make it better, livable community for all of us, while others only want what is good for themselves. They have no stock or no history or goodwill in Flatwood to preserve as we do. Now, there are property further down the road. They are posted. We don't know what down there. All we know is that big transfer trucks come in and out down there. We can't go, we don't know, what's doing it. We hear gunshots at night, 2 or 3 times a night. We hear trucks coming in and out, big trucks coming in and out, racing cars and stuff like that coming. Mind you, our community, they do that too. But you can pass through and see each other's houses. We can't pass through and see nobody's house. I know what's going on in anybody's house. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Any other comments? Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
I want to add one thing. Also on this property, it was a gravel pit that started over 20 years ago where I guess different builders came in and dug up what they needed and took it away. For the last 10 years, the refill has been, I don't know, debris, household goods, whatever they could find to truck in there. So I am also concerned about the contamination from any water flowing from that gravel pit hole and what contaminants are in there that may be hazardous to the health of our environment as well out there.
Thank you, ma'am. Wesley, let me ask you one more question. How long have you owned this property?
Right at a year.
About a year? Okay. Were you aware of what she just said when you bought it?
Yes, sir. The property belonged to Wadsworth Construction, and I've talked to the neighbors. It's been over there years for now, and they were tearing out construction, new construction, old construction, hauling off concrete, dirt, just...
So it's like a landfill?
Might you say, but I haven't found any debris, might you say.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. And
Yeah, I have a comment.
Oh, go ahead. Excuse me, Jack. Go ahead.
To address this lady's issue here, I mean, he has a right to buy property anywhere he want to buy property. Just because you've been there a long time, I mean, I feel offended by that, But he has a property. This is America. He could buy property anywhere he wants to. If you were concerned about it, then you should have bought the property years ago. But he has a right to buy property anywhere he has a right, anywhere he want to buy property. I don't have a problem with that at all. And that sounds like the issue that you had with that, and that's not right.
Well, listen, I'm not a lawyer, but that would be that would be an easy win. That would be an easy win for this gentleman, so. All right.
Well, can I say this? I don't know if that's the sentiment of the whole community. That's one person who read a letter from her household. That's what she stated at the time, that that's the way she felt, and maybe the people in her household. But not, at the same time, I don't think that's something for us to consider in our deliberations today.
And we don't need to. This is a rezoning question. This is not a social issue question. Okay. We're going to, any other comments up from the Planning Commission? We're through with the public comments. Any other comments? If not, the motion's in order.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we deny this request for
Okay,
rezoning.
we have a denial. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor of denying the rezoning, raise your hand. All those in favor? Okay, Ann, did you vote against it? Okay, all right. So it was 6 to 1?
Mhm.
Okay. Recommendation was the denial of the rezoning.
Okay.
And you have 30 days to, go ahead and say it.
No, 15 days.
15 days, all right.
To appeal that decision, what they just made. You can call our office tomorrow if you wish to do that.
And you have the right to appeal. Okay? All right.
All right.
Thank
Item
you.
Number 13,
Okay.
presented by Larry Speaks and Associates, representing Capital RV Park, a public hearing for a development plan to expand the recreational vehicle park located at 4655 Old Wetumpka Highway in a B2 district.
Stephen Speaks with Larry Speaks and Associates, representing Capital RV Park. You heard a rezoning on this parcel of land back a couple months ago. The Ashcrafts proposed to make an addition onto the southern portion of their existing RV park. They're going to add about 34 new RV spaces on the south end of their park. They've developed this north portion. There's an existing building already in place off Old Wetumpka Highway. The access will stay the same. No new buildings. All they will do is add some additional RV spaces on the south and west side of that existing pond you see on the map.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the Planning Commission?
When did we rezone this one?
A
month or so ago?
4 or 5,
3 months ago.
It's about 3 months,
Right,
4
I know
months
it's
ago.
fairly recent, okay.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's right.
Any other? Kippy, anything else?
I'm fine.
Okay. Anyone wish to speak for? Well, I'm sorry, this is public hearing. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead of it. Okay. All right. If not, public hearing has been held.
Item number 14, presented by Larry Speaks and Associates, representing Mike and Mick Ashcraft, request final approval of Capital RV Park Plat Number 3, located on the west side of Old Wetumpka Highway, approximately 400 feet south of Wetumpka Highway, in a B2 district.
All right, this is the plat which basically expands the existing platted lot. This is the existing platted lot, basically the north half. You can see the old dash line there. It adds that additional 16 acres on the south side into that one parcel, so you have one overall parcel of land.
Okay. Anyone, any questions, any comments? Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this? If not, a motion is in order.
Move to approve.
Second.
Move to approve in a second. All those in favor?
Item number 15, presented by Larry Speaks and Associates, representing Common Ground Montgomery, public hearing for development plan for a new building to be located at 1516 Mobile Road in M1 and B2 districts.
This development plan is for Common Ground Montgomery. They have an existing facility there at the intersection there at Terminal Mobile Road, nonprofit organization. they're proposing to construct a new building on the western portion of their property, on the back, I'm going to call it the northwest corner of their property. This will be a multi-purpose building, but they have mission groups that come in and do work with the organization. These mission groups are going to actually meet in this facility, and there will be some housing for those mission groups that come in. We're also going to Board of Adjustments next month to get the use for that, but this is the development plan.
Okay, any comments?
Yeah, quick question. Are you saying that there will be housing within this
There'll be some sleeping quarters. Yes, right.
Sleeping quarters in addition to whatever other functions are in there?
Where these mission groups will come in, they come in from out of state to do mission work, and they'll come in and there'll be some sleeping quarters in this building.
Where are they going to eat?
They've got, that's a good question. I don't know.
Is it going to be like a hostel?
I think they have a kitchen in one of those buildings.
I haven't seen the final plans to the building.
Okay.
I've been in there and eaten. I know that much.
In here? Okay.
Up
here?
He knows where they're going to eat.
I didn't go in the kitchen, but I did eat there. So. I don't know.
Yep.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Anyone wish to speak?
I got one other question.
All right.
So this parking that you're showing for the new building, where's the parking for the existing building? To the east of the existing building?
It's to the east. I think there's an aerial photo in there, Kippy, someplace that shows it. Maybe not.
There it is.
There's an aerial. There it is. You can see it on that aerial photo.
On the east side.
On the east side.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're not touching any of that existing facility at all. There's actually an existing little turnout already there coming off terminal. We're just going to tie into that with a gravel drive, put a gate in, and then put a gravel drive back to this facility.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone wish to speak for or against it? Okay. If not, public hearing has been held.
Item number 16, presented by Larry Speaks and Associates representing Common Ground Montgomery, requesting final approval of Common Ground Plat Number 1, located on the northwest corner of Mobile Road and Terminal Road in B2 and M1 districts.
This is the proposed plat. The plat is almost 3 acres of land. It's the proposed plat. The plat, that parcel of land, when they took ownership of this many years ago, this lot was never platted, so we're proposing to plat that property, which is basically what they've got fenced in right now. There's an existing fence all the way around the complex.
Okay. Any comments, questions from the Planning Commission? Anyone wish to speak for or against? If not, a motion's in order.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you, Steve.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay. We're going back to item number 1. Pip.
Presented by Peel Green Engineering, representing the City of Montgomery, request to rezone 2 acres on the southeast corner of Taylor Road and Halcyon Boulevard from a PGH 35 district and B2Q district to a B2 district.
All right, I'm Pip Pilgreen again. We're back with the delayed item from last meeting. We're still requesting that we rezone this 2 acres to business, B2.
Okay. Any comments, questions?
Yeah, Pep, did you ever get that state issue clarified or worked out that was kind of the elephant in the room last time?
I haven't done anything with the state, no. I don't know what issue you're talking about.
Okay.
Well, the question was, according to information that had been sent to us, or to me, was that you could not just rezone a parcel of land on a state highway for the purpose of putting signage there. That's the That was the question. And I did not, Mr. Tate, I did not get a answer to that. So that was more from a request that we had last time. So, okay. Any other comments?
And wasn't there something about getting consent from the state before you could put a sign up or something?
Well, you have to have a permit from the state to get a permit from the city. So you have to have a permit for each in order to put a sign there. But it has to be zoned for business in order for the state to approve it.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? I know we got this thing that says it's spot zoning. So, I mean,
Pep, is the assumption that if we pass it, then the state will pass it, and then the city will get a permit from the state?
Well, that's the goal, yes.
And so if it's against anything that the state has in their laws, then they'll stop it at that
Then they'll
juncture.
deny it, yes.
They'll deny it.
They'll deny it.
Okay. That was my question.
okay. Any other comments?
I would like to pose this question to staff. What went into the consideration? It was my opinion last time that it was spot zoning, but now it shows up again, well, shows up for the first time as spot zoning in our packet. What considerations were taken into view to come up with that conclusion that this is spot zoning?
As to why it is spot zoning?
Yes.
Well, at the last meeting, we didn't have any comments on the agenda. This agenda, we looked at all the items based on the definition we had given you.
Correct.
And if you have a piece of property that's sitting in the middle of residential zoning and you're asking for commercial, it is the opinion of the staff that this is spot zoning.
Thank you.
But that is the whole staff. I mean, it wasn't just one individual.
No, sir, that is not the whole staff. This particular time, Tanya and I made the comments.
Okay, so Robert and Tommy
doesn't have
they weren't
anything to
even
do-
involved.
Robert doesn't have anything to do with the planning commission agenda.
Okay.
I got you. But the point is you were following our direction from last time to help determine,
Right.
based on a definition of spot
and based
zoning,
on the definitions
and give
that we
us
have
some
read.
guidance up here, is what you're telling us.
And it does not comply with the existing land use plan.
Thank you.
Okay, okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay.
Yeah, one question. I think the last time, if I'm not mistaken, I'm getting old, but I think the last time a comment was, and I know we're only dealing with zoning, but the issue came up about the city being able to put up signs when private business didn't have an opportunity to bid on it. Am I right?
Well,
And
the
that
question did come up,
Yeah.
but the planning commission doesn't really have the authority
Yeah,
to
That's
handle
what I said.
that.
We're
So
only dealing with zoning, yeah, correct.
You know, Helen, you said that last time, but I think members of the planning commission are citizens in the city. So one may be asking the question from a citizenry perspective more so than from the planning commission's perspective. I just
Okay.
wanted to put that out there because I too have the same concern
Okay,
as a
and
citizen.
I understand from a citizen standpoint, but from the recommendation to be forwarded to the council, that has nothing to do with the rezoning itself.
And I give you that. I mean,
Okay.
I give you that. But as a citizen that happens to be in a position to hear this information and not necessarily understand how hang on a second, how an entity is given this business without it going through the normal procurement process.
And I understand your statement.
Yeah, well,
There may be other escape clauses, but as I understand, a normal process. And I'm asking that question as a citizen, opposing it as a citizen.
Well, my charge was to rezone the property to business. You know, I know there are other pieces of land that the city owns that have signs on them, whether they were bid or not. You know, I don't know, but there's a sign that Lamar has in front of Patterson Field. It's been there at least 20 years, I know.
Yeah, and I don't know that this isn't a normal process. The city owns the land. City wants to do something with the land.
Right.
City selected somebody that's going to rent the land from them. The city's not, unless, it's not our purview to determine how they determine who they do business with. We're just asked if we're going to rezone the land or not. That's all we're here to do. You know, we've been, this is the third round. I'm ready to move forward.
Okay. Any other comment? Anyone wish to speak for or against it? Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm John Turner with Lamar Advertising. I'm not going to go over everything I talked about last time. I just want to inform everybody of the only new development that's happened since the last time we were here. I probably need to hand these out. I've got copies of a letter from our attorney to the Department of Transportation's attorney, just recapping a conversation they had this week. Can I pass these out?
Please.
As long as they don't have any white substance on them.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, we said this already.
Okay. Last time it was stated by the presenters that the state wouldn't have a problem with this. So basically the letter says that our attorney talked with Robert Prescott, who is the attorney for the Alabama Department, or at least one of the attorneys for the Alabama Department of Transportation, and he stated that they do consider this spot zoning, which another word for that is sham activity, which is the word used in the paperwork I gave you last time from the regulations. And so they're saying they're not going to allow it because there's not a business on the property. This is a park, and if property is rezoned in the state's eyes for billboard use only, it's spot zoning.
And I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in on those.
You asked for it.
This was part of the reason I asked last time for our attorney opinion on this, and we didn't get it. And, I feel, well, I'm not going to go into my feelings, but at this point, it's really frustrating that here we are with a Cerroti head, a name on this piece of paper, and stipulating the fact of the conversation with the state. Now, all we can do is read what's here. But at the end of the day, if it's spot zoning and sham, that is the words that's used in there, in that.
That's correct.
I did read it. And, that was my personal concern last time. Still, that is a concern. And I don't know how to get an answer to what my question is, and that is it spot zoning from an attorney opinion, which is what we asked for, and we didn't get.
Maybe a better question is, does the council, or does the commission, I'm sorry, believe that by rezoning I think it's RH 35 lots, multiple housing lots, which is really a park right now, to be allowed for a sign, is that going to harm the neighborhood, and is that going to harm the park? That's really our question. And then as far as whether it's a sham, I don't know how any, and you guys might maybe able to answer this, but up and down the interstate, all that's agricultural land. I'm assuming where all the signs are at one point in time had to be spot zoned because it's not all commercial.
That's not true.
No.
Well, I'm sure when I say all, it's not true, but I would assume some of it had to be agricultural land at some point in time.
There's state rules that they have to.
You had
Sean Lee,
Yes,
with Lee Outdoor. You know, if you're outside of the city limits, you fall under state rules, which have certain rules and guidelines. If you're in the city limits, there's different rules and guidelines. So that comment's not true.
That agricultural wasn't zoned to some sort of business use for signs is not true?
Repeat your question.
That down the interstate where there's a lot of agricultural land, that it
Is it in the city limits, the areas you're talking about, or they're outside the city limits?
I didn't state either. I'm just saying that
Well, that would
agriculture.
answer your question. If it was in the city limits, they would come under some city rules. If it's outside the city limits, it would only be state rules.
I have a question for, well, what's your name again, sir?
Sean Lee.
And what's your name again?
John Turner.
Sean and John. Would you appreciate the opportunity to compete for this business from the city? I'm asking that as a citizen of Montgomery, Alabama, Drexel Road.
I'm in the billboard business. I would love to have a billboard on this location. I've been in the billboard business for 25 years. I have known this location is not a permittable location. If I were here presenting this to you without the city's approval, I would have gotten shot down the minute I walked in Helen's office. The state would have shot me down because it's spot zoning. The only reason this is even being considered is, I assume somebody at the city or somebody associated with the city wants it done.
It's possible.
So if I were standing here trying to get it done without the city's approval, it would not get done.
But it could with the city's approval, is what you're saying?
Not with the state's rules, it cannot. It's spot zoning.
That's why I can't understand, if the state's going to disallow it, why are y'all so concerned about it at this level?
Well, I'm concerned, if the state's going to disallow it, why is the city trying to do it? That's my question.
Well, all right, let me ask this.
It looks to me like that the city is trying, somebody in the city is trying to, I don't think that the office down there is trying to get it done, but somebody's trying to get it done and jam it down the city's the state's throat.
Has this ever been done in the city limits, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, a spot zone
Right.
at a
By a private landowner?
At a park?
No,
A ball field?
Not a park or ball field, just a private landowner rezones his property in order to put a sign up. Has that ever been done in the city limits?
Sure, you can get, I assume Helen can answer that, I don't know.
Do you have a sign on any of those parcels?
Where?
On any land that was previously zoned something other than
I've got boards all over, Jerome.
So it has been done?
Helen can probably answer that question. I can't answer that question.
Well, you've been around a long time. You probably know whether this has been done before or not. I'm just asking you that.
Properties do get rezoned. If they are a permittable location, they can get rezoned. That's not the question here. The question is, this is a spot zone for the purpose of a billboard in an area that's never been allowed for billboards. If it's a legitimate business location, if it were an area that was not zoned business, and it's a legitimate business area, and you get it rezoned for business, that's a legitimate situation. It's not but you know, this is a ball field. There's residential everywhere. It's never been viewed as a location for a billboard.
And this goes back to the current land use plan. This piece of property that we're discussing, how did it get to be designated as it is now?
Designated for patio garden homes?
Yeah.
It was a pub.
Well, in 1975, when the study...
Therein lies the problem. You're trying to take something in 1975, fast forward to 2018, and now bring these complicated issues to this commission when I specifically would have requested that PEP, you would have gotten all this ironed out before it came here. That's my take on it. All this business about state, city, in the city limits, outside of the city limits, all these regulations, you guys are the experts, and I would have expected that the recommendation would come up to this commission with that background already been tested, not being tested in this form. And I think that this, if it's spot zoning, it's spot zoning. The city has said it's spot zoning. Now the city says it's not spot zoning. It's spot zoning based on what I see in my packet. And if spot zoning is not allowed, then why are we even having this discussion? And I'm done with it.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak for or against?
Excuse me.
Yes, go ahead.
Question, Helen. We had asked at the last meeting that the city attorney look at this, and we'd asked that I think he be here. Do you know if he looked at this, if the city attorney looked at whether this particular item,
I can tell you personally, the city attorney is aware of the question. I can tell you personally that,
okay, but
there was not.
He has not responded to that.
She,
excuse me. Well, I know a city attorney was a he, but maybe not
do
that
you?
one.
Well, I'm just,
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, maybe Tismickey retired.
Yeah, I know. He's got the billboard.
Okay. So there is no answer.
There is no answer.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes.
Hey, I just want to say one more thing to Jerome. Earlier, you were asking Mr. Lee this. Yes, there are properties that at one time were zoned agriculture or zonings other than business, but it's common practice to rezone property when a building or a commercial area is being built. And yes, then we at Lamar, would go in and place a billboard on the property, but not on either a park or a vacant piece of land that has no business building on it. Now, if it was a vacant piece of land and there's a lot of different scenarios, I'm not going to waste everybody's time getting into it, but this is different than what the normal practice is. And like Mr. Lee said, if this was a permittable location, his company and the company I work for would have been after this years ago. So that's why we're here.
But John, that answer right there is the one thing that I'm sure is a concern to people sitting up here, because what it sounds like when you say that, I understand what you said. I agree with what you said, but it sounds like that it's just bad blood from the standpoint of we didn't have the opportunity and therefore we're going to object, and that's kind of the way it comes across.
Sure. Well,
am I missing something on that?
Well, let me say it this way: it's more a case of following the rules. I know that I personally didn't go after this location because it's against the rules of spot zoning.
And y'all did bring it to our attention, okay?
Sure.
I mean, you brought the rules to our attention. So we can't, but saying it the way you said it kind of makes it sound.
Sure, I know what you mean.
And I know you well enough. You and I've done business, so.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's always trying to figure out a better way to use a piece of land to make more revenue. And so I would imagine that there's just always this kind of controversy going on, and I've been educated on a lot in this sign situation. And, if the state's not going to allow it, the state's not going to allow it, whether it's a park or Taylor Road is a business area. I mean, it is now.
Sure.
I don't know that the kids at the park are bothered or damaged by having a sign there. If there were homes there and, the sign were, putting a light on somebody's home or blocking the sun or doing something that was odd, from my standpoint here, I would probably be against it. I don't have any issue with it because I think it's kind of a commercial area, being a park. I originally thought it was going to be a marquee sign for the park, which I was for.
As I would be.
Yeah, I mean, advertising people come use the park, but it's complex. I mean, y'all thoroughly confused us all and with these letters and everything. And
we do our best.
I don't have any problem voting for it because if the state shoots it down, the state shoots it down, and if it goes through, the city gets the money. But everybody else has their own opinion here, and that's why you got.
I want to make it clear, Jerome, I'm not confused. I'm not confused at all.
Okay.
You said confused us. Maybe it's confused
me.
you.
Yeah,
I'm not confused.
Me,
it's pretty clear to me. Thank you.
Okay. Is anything else? All right. Any other comments you want to speak, please, sir?
Yeah, my name's Neil Bell. I'm with New South Outdoor, 2710 Fernway. As far as the state is concerned, I've had conversations with the state attorney, same attorney, and based on what I understand, this would meet the requirements. In fact, the state, in their rules for outdoor advertising, when something is zoned, they do have criteria to say, well, is this spot zoning? And there's really only 4 things that they really look at. And one is, is this only, much like that, the pine straw deal you did earlier, is it only allow this certain commercial? That's one of the things they look for. A second is commercial only allowed on the property if there is a variance granted? The third is the physical size. Is it large enough to accommodate another business? Just because there's not a business there currently doesn't mean that a sign can't go there. You see what I'm saying? Like a commercial piece, the sign could be first. It doesn't mean the building has to come first. And lastly, they require a business to be within 2,640 feet. And that is in the city limits, and that is their requirements for deciding if something is spot zoning.
What's the source of the 4 points you just made?
It's the DOT's, rules. Let's see, out of administrative code from the Department of Transportation, dealing directly with signs. And this is something that they amended back in 2008 to kind of clarify.
So if it's that clear cut, then Pep, how come you can't explain that to us? We've been asking for this last week, and if it's that clear cut that gentleman standing to your right just made, why are we here then, if it's that clear cut? I think you got somebody back there that wants to take some exceptions.
Where are you reading from? Are you reading from the Alabama Department of Transportation Administrative Code?
Yes.
What's
the very last?
What page and which?
Page of its 4.
Is it 13?
Looks like 13, yes.
And where?
Very end, 45010-1.14 zoning.
45010?
Yes.
Why is mine different than, does it say zoning and even if an area is declared zone?
Yeah.
Why is this one numbered 450-3-1-14?
450-10-1.14.
No. What I'm holding in my hand is, I think, the same thing you're reading from.
Right.
But it's, this one says, this paragraph is 450-3-1-.14.
Right above it, what does it say? File what?
Doesn't say anything because it's the top of that page. So
This is the rules that I've gotten off the internet. I bet.
John, help me.
I'll state that, the state adopted, the state adopted these rules, 10 years ago maybe, John? 2008. They did it for the purpose of this right here. Sign guys go into a town, they hook up with somebody with the city and try to get an area rezoned for the purpose of a billboard. Now this is in the city of Montgomery, but you can imagine how this could be done all over the state of Alabama, sham activity. So I don't know where those rules are, but the state of Alabama does have rules that says if you're outside the city limits, and if you want to get that rezoned, there has to be a business there. A building has to be built. It has to be occupied. Has to be a phone line there. So the rules go beyond some of these. So if the city wants to put a building there, they want to have it to be a legitimate business, that's a different story. But just to rezone something for the purpose of a billboard is illegal.
And I want to.
It's not illegal to rezone this piece of land to B2. It's not illegal to rezone. Now, it may be illegal as far as putting a sign on the land, but the legality of zoning has nothing to do with the state of Alabama.
So, Pep, let's go back to what you just said. You said it may be illegal to put a sign on this property. Is that what you just told us?
It may be illegal according to the state to put a sign on
that's
this
not
property.
what you told us. It may be illegal to put a sign on this property. Can we play the tape back, Mr. DJ? No. Okay.
Well, okay, it may be illegal to put a sign on this property
if it's illegal
according
to
to
put
the
a
state.
sign on this property, then why are we having the discussion?
Because we want to rezone this property to B2.
And are you sure that it's not illegal?
I don't know why it's illegal to request to rezone something that you own.
Well,
we're talking about two different issues.
Well, the point that I'm trying to get to, and I asked you this last time, and I ask you again, why are we up here having to vet things that you should have come to this commission with in the first place? We're vetting your homework. This should be homework that someone has done already, and now we're taking up an hour of our time to vet something that I think that the petitioner should come here already prepared to discuss. Well, and that's my beef with the whole thing. As we ask questions, you guys get more momentum. Well, and I'm not sure that anybody, if Jerome said he was confused, I think you guys are confused too.
I don't believe so, because based on the way we're reading this and based on my discussions with the DOT, it should be approved. Now, I cannot speak on what the DOT will approve. I've turned in many applications that I was certain would be approved and weren't, but those things can also be worked out, you know?
Well, let me just ask you this. We have something from one side that's on paper. Where's yours? Documentation.
I mean, I can email it or print it.
That's what I'm saying, my friend.
It's the same thing that they have pretty much here. Let's say
let me just stop you for a second. That's why I'm saying you should have come here already prepared.
What they have is not necessarily regarding the same thing we're talking about. This right here.
I'm going to ask you again, where's your documentation for your side? Do you have any?
I'd like to hear you comment, though, what you were saying.
I'd like to look this up, because this looks like it's dealing with county and not city. I'm not certain.
Can I get an answer to my question? These are statements being made. Where is the documentation to support your opinion?
Who were you asking?
I'm asking the petitioner.
Still talking.
Here, my main question is, are we going to debate about what the state will or will not do? Or are we talking about zoning and how it's going to, if it's really a problem in the spot we're talking about?
Well,
I mean, I've like I said, I've applied for signs many times that I was certain were going to be approved and were not, and I've had some that I didn't know if they would be approved, and it depends on how the DOT is going to interpret things, you know? So.
Well, I understand what you're saying is, you know, as far as which one do you get first? I mean, you know, if you're going, if the state says you got to have this in order for us to do that, then you got, you know, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Right, correct.
I think the problem that everybody's having on this thing is it gets back to, we've had a lot of conversations about spot zoning, okay? And we did request a definition, and we got some information on that. We're sitting up here, and we're sitting with a statement from our staff that stipulates this is considered spot zoning. So we had tried to avoid, and you listened to a lot of it tonight when we get into that terminology. And so we don't have all the background and all the information. I was provided just by my personal request, the documentation that I thought you was reading from. And I was trying to correlate the two. But at the end of the day, what we're sitting up here facing is, do we take a piece of property that the staff which is the ones that give us the information. We're not, do we go against what they're telling us, and that is, this is a spot zone, period. That's really our issue. So I don't know how to go beyond that, and I don't know if you can have the state write you something that says, "Hey, yeah, we'll approve a sign." And
the problem, Mr. Hardwick, is you can't go to the state
understand
with
that.
woulda, coulda, shoulda. You got to go with it's
concrete.
rezoned, right?
With a concrete.
And then, you
Exactly.
can't just approach them.
Exactly.
If we'd approached them, they could have written us a letter just like they wrote the other people a letter.
I understand that.
Depends on how you approach it.
Let me ask you guys a question. Is there any way to approve this contingent on the state's approval?
No, you either zone or you don't zone. There's no.
It's a question. I don't know the answer.
Okay.
Let me go back to you talking about if there's anything rezoned in agriculture or something. One of the things you get into, Jerome, is our zoning ordinance wasn't established till the late 60s, early 70s. And a lot of these signs, I have a lot of clients with signs in the city in land that is not zoned for business, not specific. But a lot of that was established pre-zoning and stuff, and so they're pretty much grandfathered in. Now, the new standards and, the Highway Beautification Act and all of that changes a good bit of that. So there are a lot of different avenues and mechanisms to get places to put signs that don't necessarily meet this standard that we're trying to approach now. And you can't just take one over here or one over there and say, well, they did it, because they may be totally different scenarios. So it's really hard. I have to agree with these guys. It's they're not apples to apples all the time.
Listen, what it comes down to is basically is the zoning thing. Whether you put a sign in there or whatever, you've got north, east, south, and west zone, one thing, zone, and then you want to arbitrarily come in and put a commercial right in the middle of it. And so it's not part of a comprehensive zoning plan. It's not part of a smart zone plan or anything like that. Just put commercial right in the middle of something that's not commercial. That's the spot zoning issue here. Now, whether you put a sign in there or whether you put whatever else in there, you arbitrarily asking to spot zone that particular area right in the middle of what townhouses and patio garden homes and institutional zoning and all of that. That's what it comes down to.
I agree.
All right.
And so,
is there any other comment?
I will make this question or comment to the staff.
I'm sorry.
When you determined, I'm looking at understanding spot zoning, the issue in the land use, land law and zoning. What constitutes spot zoning? And you go through it and it talks about that. And the last thing it says, the surrounding area for the benefit of the owner of such property and to the detriment of other owners. Was that discussed when y'all deliberated on what spot zoning was, to the detriment of the other owners? Was there detriment to the other owners in this case when you said it was spot zoning?
We based our professional opinion on the fact that commercial was in the middle of residential and it did not comply with the land use plan.
Okay.
Sometimes the detrimental to the residents might not have been taken into consideration. We considered the first two things.
Okay, you did not consider the detriment of the other owners.
I wouldn't say that our professional opinion could count everything. We would have to go a little deeper.
Okay.
Helen, does it take into account that it's not residential anymore? I don't really know what the zoning is for a park, but institutional?
Didn't take into consideration the use, took into consideration for the zoning of what could be put there.
But how did the institutional park become in
A park is permitted in any district.
That was my question. So, but they didn't have to rezone it at that time? Because that's certainly different than small homes.
Okay. I think we've beat this pretty good, okay? And here's what I'd like to do. First question I want to ask y'all is, we do not have but 6 members sitting up here. So, huh? Well, that's reading that we have 6. And that was one less than what you had a little while ago. So, do you still want us to vote on this tonight?
Yes.
Okay, okay. All right, that being the case, motion's in order.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
The change in zoning.
Change the zoning?
Yep.
Okay. Is a motion to approve, is there a second? Being no second, the recommendation will be that there was no recommendation, and it will go straight to the...
No action, and they'll have to appeal it.
All right, so y'all will appeal that within 15 days.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right.
And it will go straight to the city council.
Council. Okay, thanks.
We beat it pretty good, guys.
Did I give you this back?
Sir?
Is this yours?
I think it was, but you... Well, John was kind enough, he and I were talking about something else. I mean,
If he adjourns it?
Huh?
Tell him to adjourn it.
John. Yeah, I'm sorry. We are adjourned. I'm sorry. We got it.